And now your host, Noreen McClendon.
So, good evening, everybody. This is Noreen McClendon, and this is another week of Free to Heal, where we come together and we try to heal the ravages of what mass incarceration has done to us, our loved ones, our communities, our neighborhoods. And this is um, the week of right after the fires in Los Angeles, in Altadena, and Pacific Palisades. And, in our check in, each of us spend our time talking about how it has affected us individually and then the people that we know. And I want to just acknowledge for everybody out there that there will be a sense of, um, it's like a pale over the city. It's a pale, it's like a grief or something, that there's something feeling that you can't just put your hands on, and you can't just shake it off. And then the triggering effects of having people to lose things. I just was telling them about a friend who their family lost their home, and the daughters were trying to find their dad's urn in the ashes, but the urn didn't make it either. Um, and so it's very challenging here. And somebody had asked me, and I hadn't even thought about what would they do with the prisons, right? A lot of prisons are built in kind of remote areas, and in California, particularly in the middle of nowhere and deserts and stuff like that. And so, what would they do, at that time? In Altadena, they had that nursing home, right?
And that was just that's
With
what
all
hurt
those
my.
people,
Oh my God! I seen them
and
hurt
the
my
question
feelings.
is, you might say, well, yeah, well, where were their family? But guess what? They wasn't letting them people in that
They couldn't
area.
get in there to
They
get them
couldn't get in there
nowhere.
even if they wanted
They
to.
couldn't get in.
So it's just a tragic situation. And literally last week, our Free to Heal session was cut short because the internet went out because the wind was blowing so hard. And that was the night that the fire started. And it's like, and they're saying that the winds will be up again in the next two, for tonight and tomorrow. So we're just going to offer from Free to Heal a prayer for everybody that's affected. And I just have to say the whole area, because everybody's affected.
Everybody's affected in some kind of way.
Everybody is
If
affected.
you're human, you have a heart, you are affected.
Yeah, and the reality for us is being in proximity, so close proximity to all of it. Yes, all of us know somebody that's been affected. You know, and then the other side of it is, how is that recovery going to happen? Because the vultures are going to be out trying to prey on those people.
They're out there
already, and they arrested some guys for trying to break in houses where people are displaced right now, where they had to evacuate, but they're not there. So, and that brings up another topic that I want to touch on just right now, that I'm hot about, and that is, I need everybody listening to understand this. You cannot straddle the fence. You cannot straddle the fence.
Say it again, please.
When you come home, you cannot straddle the fence. You cannot do quasi illegal stuff, sort of illegal stuff, and think it's going to be okay. It's not.
A little bit of that.
It's not going to be okay. The criminality has to be left in the past. It has to be left in the past. And I don't, it's not, I just had to just tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? One of the young men that's been coming here for a while, he went back to jail, what, last week?
Yep.
Last week. And I'm furious. I'm furious because he was so, he had it, he had an apartment, he had transportation, he had a job. I mean, his own place and all of that. And I don't know what's going to happen to all of it, because I don't know when he's going to get out. And what he did is, it was some little illegal stuff. I'm not even sure what all was going on that caused him to have a dispute about money with somebody that led to him going back to jail. And I'm angry because he didn't have to. But it raises the question about mindset. What are you thinking? Like, did you really leave your criminality behind? Or do you think you can get away with it? Do you think you can do everything and it looks fine here, but back here is where you hiding all the illegal stuff you doing?
I'm not doing this. But
You see what I'm saying? I'm not doing what I used to do, but I'm still doing this that's illegal. So I'm not selling dope, but I'm selling pills. Or I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm not writing checks no more, but I'm, I'm buying from the booster.
Same.
It is all illegal. And like it or not, we cannot do illegal things. That's the bottom line. Because guess what? It always comes back. It always comes back. It's not, you don't get away with it. That's called integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's looking. It's required. You gotta do that. The other thing I want to say is that I'm right now, and that was just a side note because that really has me pissed off, and I don't want to go into that area right now where I'm too mad. Okay,
Ready to fight somebody.
Ready to fight. Okay, that's where it's gonna take me, because it was unnecessary. But the other thing is that, just so each of you know, if you know anybody that has been formerly incarcerated that might be interested in working in the jobs behind the camera in the entertainment industry, make sure you get their contact information and shoot it to me because I'm going to be working on a project with a student at USC, and in the next couple of months, and the project has to be finished before they graduate, so it's going to go very quickly. But I need them to be reliable and have some transportation because we can't provide transportation. And I'm not sure where it's going to be filmed or whatever, but I am looking for people who have an interest in that. And that is an opportunity that I can provide. You want to say something, Frank?
No, I was just saying I'm interested. I need a job,
Okay.
but I don't know if I need any experience because you said behind the camera. I don't really know exactly what that means, but
see, that's the beauty. That's the beauty right there is the fact that in the entertainment industry, there are so many jobs behind the camera. So there's everything from carpentry to build sets. There's electric to light it, electrical stuff to run sound engineering, sound mixing, wardrobe, craft services to feed people, script supervision. There's so many jobs, hair and makeup, that people are not aware of. So, I definitely have no problem in giving you that information. What I will do when we're not recording, I will, so don't hang up when we start recording, and I'll make sure to give you my number.
I appreciate that.
We can discuss it a little bit further. I will have a meeting hopefully tomorrow afternoon to discuss with the young man a little further, so I have some more information about where we might be filming and stuff like that to see what that looks like.
That's what's like.
Yeah. What you want to do?
Quiet on the set.
Cut.
Quiet on the set.
Don't start acting like her, Frank. Frank, don't you start acting like her. Do not, I repeat, Frank, do not follow her lead.
Quiet on the set.
Thank you for making me laugh. I don't think I laughed that hard in over a week. I appreciate that.
That's all I want to say.
But absolutely, Noreen. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Just saying.
She's so determined.
Oh my God!
Serious about it too, because okay, so just so you know, Frank, Concerned Citizens has been introducing young people to jobs behind the camera since 1997, and part of what we did a film in 2023.
I didn't miss it.
And she missed it. She didn't show up. So she's been irate about it ever since.
Why don't you say? Can't wait.
Never mind the fact that the slate that she's doing is something totally different.
Okay,
But that's okay.
I'm sorry.
She
That's mine. That's
that
mine.
that
Right on the
that
set. Right on the set.
okay.
Can't wait, baby. Tell y'all.
Oh my God.
Can't wait to
Thank
Pray,
you.
pray for me here. Just pray, put an extra special prayer there for me
I got
to
you.
deal
I
with
got
them,
you.
okay? Because I'm just saying, right? So yeah, so yes, that is an opportunity. And as I give you guys more information, then you can share it as well.
All right.
But I appreciate that. So one of the things I see, we got Mr. Harry came on. Hey Harry,
Hello,
how
Noreen.
you doing?
Man, it's been a crazy few weeks. I moved, and I'm no longer with Francisco Homes now. I'm independent living,
Wonderful.
and
Congratulations.
thank you. And it's just a lot going on. I got family in Fresno, so stuff going on there, and I've been kind of pulled into, a little bit of the muck, and I had to dial it back, and refocus, right, and just it's been a little hectic for me for a little bit, but I had to kind of regroup, and it's kind of like okay, what's more important, them or me? Right now, it's me.
Gotta
What
be
I'm
you,
doing.
baby. Gotta be
It's
you.
it has to be me,
Gotta
and
be you.
I just want to apologize, for not, missing a few groups, and I just,
Oh, no need to apologize. The
but
beauty of being able to be here, Harry, is that we're here when you come. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
that for
yeah,
me, that makes
yeah,
me happy and content. And I'm glad to
yeah,
know that you're progressing though, because moving to
yeah,
independent living, you that took some things.
yeah, sure. I mean, it was something I had to do, and something I'm glad I did, right? And I'm not the only one that made the move. I'm so proud of the guys. There was my boy Walt Osmond Walt, and he moved, so he's independent living now. I helped him move.
Good.
And then there was another Marshall, another guy that was at the 54th house. He's out,
Okay.
and no, so he moved out. So I helped him. We just helping each other move. So, and we're out here on I'm out on 83rd, Avalon and Central.
Oh, and you know what? I think that particular location has helped several men.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's the same location because what was his name?
Okay.
Jimmy, I think Jimmy moved over there. And I actually went over there to where he was to see his place. But I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy Reese had moved over there. And does it have a couple houses, like one enter here, one enter on the property? Like
One in the
driveway.
right. One in the front, one in the back.
Yep. Okay. So y'all still up
Yes.
in the neighborhood. I'm right down the street.
Right. Right.
So
And
that's awesome.
well, it's nice, it feels so great, just to have my own spot, my own room, no more roommate, and a little peace of mind, and just focusing. And actually today, I'm kind of proud of myself because I got enrolled into. Right now I'm with the OWIP program with the Department of Aging.
Okay.
So that's a county program. It's a 1 year program, trainee, right? So, but now it's almost getting ready to end. So I'm on a springboard into the CWEP program, which is a 4 year program that's federally funded.
And what do they
And
do? What's the assistance?
the assistance is where I was at today is the main office downtown on College. It's I think it's 711 West College Street, right?
Okay.
And the lady there, her name is Benny, and
Uh-huh.
the one that the case manager, their name is Tim Yun, and it's the I think they call it the Northern Pacific Asian Department or a Department of Aging there, right? Well, That's the main hub, and they control. Depends where you live at in your area, Carson, Hawthorne, wherever you're at. They kind of direct you to different areas, and they have these programs where they help, and you have to
Do they
be, I
help you
think,
with, is it with employment or what
yeah,
kind,
with
what do they offer? Training and something else?
It's all training program.
Okay.
You're a trainee. You're not an employee or trainee, and they help pay stipends,
Okay.
right? Which is nice,
Yes.
right? A little bit more than minimum wage,
Okay.
which is cool.
Yeah.
But they understand that I think you have to be 55 and up,
Mhm.
and that's cool. And they always make sure that they know if you're getting your SSI or SSDI or whatever you're getting as far as Social Security, right? So a lot of the times they know the hours that won't.
That's with
I
your
mean,
benefits.
it's exactly.
Right.
So
Got
it's
you.
great, and
That's
that program
awesome.
it's so good because it's a 4-year program.
Mm-hmm.
So and that helps, because if you're going to school, that's cool. I mean, they'll handle that if you're into any kind of like you're trying to learn how to use a computer. They got computer classes, typing. You want to get a little better with your phone, smartphone, Android, a lot of stuff like that going on. And I mean,
That's
different
awesome.
programs you can get involved with, right? And it helps, right? And they don't discriminate. You have a disability, no problem. You're in, and that's what I did today. And I'm just like, wow. So I'm ready to springboard from one to the other and just keep it going.
Keep it going,
Just keep
baby.
going.
Keep it going. It's good to
Yeah.
see you, though. I'm glad that
Yeah.
we apparently have made enough of an impression on you to have
Yes.
you want to join, even though you're not required to join
Yes.
anymore. That makes me feel good because it means we were of some value to you. It's not just that
Sure.
you had to pick a group and that kind of thing. Is that you genuinely get something out of our sessions together. So that's awesome for me. And
Right.
thank
And
you.
I also join in with CGA with Miss Elizabeth, and then I do the NAAA on Sundays.
Awesome.
I still see the guys. I still join. If I could go in person to the in-person groups, I'm there. Because I always remember, where I started at, and I'm so grateful that, you guys are my support network,
Yeah.
and I always,
And
and I always know that.
that's what I want this to be. That's what my desire is
Yeah,
to be a support for somebody, to be of assistance to
I'm
somebody, to actually help. So I'm grateful that we're that for you. What I wanted
grateful for you.
well, you're absolutely welcome, Harry. What I wanted to talk about tonight is, and this is something I think is timely, which is healing from emotional trauma. And on Tony's check-in, the trauma that was brought back to her through these fires um, is something. But literally, this was something that I prepared. I've done this at the Francisco Homes. I don't have a date on here, but this was a workshop that I had planned for them some time ago. But emotional and psychological trauma is the result of extraordinarily stressful events that shatter your sense of security, making you feel helpless in a dangerous world. And that certainly is how we have felt over this past week with the fires in Los Angeles. There's no ifs, ands, or two ways about it. Whether you were physically displaced or just know somebody that was, certainly we could consider that a stressful event, and also feeling helpless because what could I do, right? Like what can we actually do? So traumatic experiences often involve a threat to life, but any situation that leaves you feeling overwhelmed can be traumatic, even if it doesn't involve physical harm. So a lot of people would say, oh, those people in the fires, they lost everything, but they got their lives. That does not mean that there's not trauma. I saw a young man who buried his father on the 6th of December and their home burned down. You know, and my thought was, I hope somebody will get a hold of him and just hold him and not let him go, not let him like always constantly be looking after him. Why? Because his life, it's like so much has been taken in such a short period of time. You begin to ask yourself questions. Why me? What, you know, that kind of thing, which there is no answer to why him. Of course, parents die. That's what happens when we're grown. But at the same time, um, and disasters happen. And so, but for him, he's getting that double whammy. So for him, it is definitely a stressful time. And it doesn't, he's physically okay, but he's not okay. He's not close to okay. And he won't
No.
be for a while, right? He will not be for a while. More often than not, we do not acknowledge emotional trauma the way that we acknowledge and care for physical trauma. Think about it. If we see someone hit by a truck or falls from a 3-story building, we don't simply walk away and say, I'm sure they'll be fine. They will get over it. Life goes on, tough it out, time to heal your wounds. After 2 weeks, it's time for you to move on. But this is usually how our society handles emotional trauma. Normally, because we don't see a physical wound, we don't anticipate that they're going to need ongoing help. It's like having had discussions with people whose parents have dementia, and they're like, you know, oh, well, he's being so mean. And wait a minute. Remember, there's an illness there. He's sick. He or she is sick. They're not just being mean. They got an illness going on. So you got to remember and factor that in. But with emotional trauma, because we don't see the physical scars, we totally dismiss it and expect people, like you said, to get over it.
Okay.
It's okay. Life goes on. You came out with your life. Don't worry about it. That's a good thing. The family that I saw, that all of the sisters and the mom, they all lost their homes in Altadena. So where they normally would go for a soft place to land or for somebody to help them, none of them can help, because they're all suffering the same loss. And there's not just what you have in your house, there's the memories. One of my friends lost their home, but it wasn't just their home. A lot of the kids that played football for me when they were young used to go to that house, and they would go over there and hang out after games and one of the guys, all the memories in that house. Like he was heartbroken because that's where he was. And so a lot of families are suffering that, but society definitely does tell us, encourage us to go, just move on, just move on. It's going to be okay. And as if the trauma isn't real. As a result of societal norms, we cause harm to those we love and care about because we don't get the treatment for their injuries. Treatment can and should involve some, if not all, of the following. Get moving. Trauma disrupts the body's natural balance, freezing you in a state of hypersensitivity, alertness, fear, worry. The nervous system gets stuck. Exercise and movement help the nervous system become unstuck. Something simple. Don't isolate. Trauma may make us want to withdraw from everyone. Connecting to others face to face helps to heal. You don't have to talk about the trauma all the time, but having someone to share when you feel ready is important. Be social, do normal things, reconnect with old friends, volunteer to help someone else, join a support group, make new friends. All of those things can help you. What I notice about those things is a lot of it is not sitting around focusing on the trauma, not focusing on what happened. Where do I, right, yeah. Yeah.
Nothing, it's already happened.
Exactly.
It already happened, you can't do nothing.
Right.
I'm sitting there, what could I have done? No, you couldn't do nothing. It already happened.
Right. And that from a person who suffers some serious trauma.
Exactly.
Some serious trauma.
Yes. You
right.
Put yourself in a real dark place and don't know how to get yourself out of there because you focus on what could I have done. You put a lot of stuff on yourself. Just one person, one person couldn't do a whole bunch of nothing when there's all this going on. It was too much going on for one person to do. So don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, because it's not productive. It's just like people saying, "Oh, the fire hydrants in Pacific Palisades weren't full." Yes, they were. They were full. It's just that the demand was too much. So the fire captain, he was like, "Listen, there's no department that has as many fire trucks as we would have needed. It doesn't matter how many. It's just not even a thing." So
the wind was too strong.
don't exactly. We have never had 90 to 100 mile an hour Santa Ana winds, and not in all the years I've been here. But they said it's never happened. So the reality is that there was no way to combat that, and I just wish people would stop with the blaming. This is not the time for that. I mean, you got people using that for political gain or whatever, and to try to claim that people of diverse backgrounds are not qualified, trying to say because the fire chief is a female that she was a DEI hire and she wasn't qualified, and Karen the mayor, because she's female, she wasn't qualified, and this is no. What we had here was circumstances where no matter what you had and what you've done, nothing could have stopped what was going on. There's conditions where the number one thing they use to fight those kind of fires are the helicopters, and they couldn't use them. They weren't available because winds were too high.
Doreen, I even heard some talk. People were saying that that it was a terrorist attack. Yeah, because I mean, look at the way the fires were hit, where the areas were hit, right? And with the winds, like you said, the Santa Ana winds, and the devastation that it did, and I was kind of like, wow, I mean, these conspiracy theories that these people are coming up with, right? I said, wow, really? Do you honestly believe that was a terrorist attack? I says, come on. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't put myself in that place. My mind, my thought wouldn't even go there, right? My mind would just go, this is a natural disaster that, like you said, Santa Ana winds blowing that hard. Don't know which way it's gonna go,
We've
and
never
that's the way it's
we've
gonna
never had that here. We've never had
never.
that, not at that level.
No, and I mean, we watched it. It was going every which way it wanted to go. It was acting on its own. The winds kept shifting. The firefighters would go one way, the fire go another way, and it was just back and forth. And you know what? And we all just had to sit back and watch. I mean, one area get burned down, and then it was just hopping.
Yep.
And it's just it was sad. I mean, my heart goes out to them. I was like, I was totally shocked. I says, I mean, they tried everything they can.
Yeah.
And right now
But when
they're
but when
worried
the
again.
when you have a demand for water higher than what it is, and what happened is the pumps couldn't pump the water fast enough. Not to mention they lost all the pumps, so the pumps stopped pumping and with no pressure. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody saying, somebody was saying, it's like when you in your house. Now you downstairs washing dishes, somebody outside washing a car. I go to take a shower. The water doesn't come out with the same pressure. It's just basic, physics, whatever that is. It's just the laws of the way things work. But at the same time, again, a lot of times people blame themselves for things they couldn't have fixed, and that causes us a lot of pain. Another thing is take care of your health. A healthy body increases your ability to cope with stress from trauma. Get the necessary sleep. Avoid alcohol and drugs. Whether we recognize it or not, those are depressants. Particularly alcohol is a depressant. So if you down, it's gonna make you feel more down. It's not gonna be better.
Make you feel better.
It's not gonna make you feel better. While they may seem to help at first, they tend to be depressants and will make it worse. Eat a well-balanced diet. It prevents mood swings. To eat small, well-balanced meals throughout the day, and find and use relaxation techniques. Now, during the pandemic, somebody said take some vitamin D, because when you're in the house a lot, you don't get the sun, and that it can actually make your mood better. And I just did it because I was like, okay, plus another guy, he was a brain surgeon, and he noticed that when his patients that he gave a high doses of vitamin D healed better from the brain surgery. So I said, well, that can't be a bad thing. And so I started taking, I did actually notice a difference in my mood from having vitamin D. So
Mhm.
well balanced diet, all of those things is a good thing. I love the idea of not what I talked about a minute ago, not isolating, because I know too many people that do that
Mhm.
in my family. They just shut down, and that no, I don't want to talk about it. But that's the worst thing you can do when it's really high pressure. You need to
Mhm.
let it out. Even I've suggested, even like to my son, write it in a journal. Write
Mhm.
it in a journal. Just write. Just it doesn't have to be. Just write down what you're feeling, and that way it comes out. Even if you don't want to share it, if you're not ready to talk about it, you don't have to. But you do get the opportunity to express it and get it out, and that's important.
Journaling is a really good thing. It, like you're saying, I'm just going to piggyback on what you're saying. It gives all that emotion, anger, sadness, whatever it is, it gives it a place to go. And if, like you said, if you don't want to present it to nobody, you letting it go. You're not punching nobody out. So I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in my class to be certified to be a grief recovery specialist, um, we were taught a technique of writing a letter to someone that was deceased. Just writing the letter, just writing what you wanted them to know. Because usually, why people grieve, people who didn't have a good relationship with the deceased normally suffer harder than people that had a good relationship with them. And usually it's because they wanted more time, they wanted things to be different, they wanted whatever, but one of the two, either more or they want something different. And the reason that the person that didn't have a good relationship grieves is now they never get the chance to have that relationship, or they don't get the opportunity to say and get a verbal resolution of what the issue is. So it's important to understand that people need to get it out. And so one of the tools that I was taught was write it, write it. And some of the letters were amazing and heart wrenching and whatever, but you definitely feel better. So, like you say, journaling really does help. It relieves some of the pressure, and it's important to relieve the pressure. And in a strange way, you feel heard.
Yeah.
You feel like
Yeah,
you feel
Somebody
heard.
heard me.
Yeah, if it wasn't.
Somebody heard me. That's what you do feel that. It's real because I do it.
Yeah, right. Isn't that something? And it's like, oh, okay, well, at least I got it heard. So that's one thing. Self-regulate your nervous system. Learn to control your breathing consciously. Take 60 breaths, focus on each one. If there are smells, tastes, or sights that make you feel at peace, put those around you. Allow yourself to feel what you feel.
And it's okay.
Acknowledge your feelings and accept them. It is the only way to get past anything. So there's like you got to go through to get it. You got to feel it. You gotta experience what it is, because you can't get past something that you haven't gone through. There's only one way, particularly when it's painful things. So I want to. That was the pretty much the end of the material, and I want to give each person opportunity. I'll start with you, D Dub, to give you an opportunity. Any thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. That was one of the most amazing things in inside was that when I was ready to unload or unburden my self with emotional stuff, the groups that they provided eventually were there for me, and I took advantage of it, and all of a sudden there was internal healing and finding my authentic self and starting to love myself and uh, but the groups were instrumental in that. I mean, there's just no healing without them, really. I mean, unless you could do some serious self-reflection in, in the cell or in the dorms, which is real hard to do unless you know how to even know how to do it. But just to be able to express in a safe environment all the pains I went through or whatever trauma, uh, it just made the difference between who I am now and who I was. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they provided the space, and I just happened to be at the right time wanting it. So, and it made all the difference.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you had that, that it was available. I'm super glad that it was available.
Glad he said he wanted.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, yeah, and that you wanted it at that time,
Yeah, it was perfect. It was just a perfect confluence.
Wonderful. Miss Tony.
I think it's just about like you always point out about giving yourself grace and just taking it one step at a time. You triggered me even more because I remember when my house burned down and my boss said, "Well, good thing you get a new house." And I was so happy that we were in two different places because I probably would have attacked her. Because that's not the gist of it. But I think that we just all have to come together, and I appreciate having this space to be vulnerable because there's not many places that I feel comfortable in that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, and I'm gonna call you later on too.
Yeah, I'll call you when I get out of this place.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, all righty.
Frank, any of your kind of thoughts?
Yeah, a little bit. I want to thank Miss Tony um, for allowing herself to be vulnerable with us. And it's important. I took a group dialectic behavioral therapy, and it's when you allow, and it was about personal interactions. Like if you have a spat with somebody in the grocery store, they ran into your car or rolled over your foot, and it pisses you off. Allow yourself to be pissed off and recognize it. We had a discussion last week, I think it was, about knowing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and not just knowing ourselves, but allowing ourselves to be ourselves.
Yes.
So as men, as a man, for me, I grew up. You don't talk about your feelings, boy. You know what I'm saying? We men, blah blah blah. And yeah, that was the dumbest lesson or the dumbest thing that my dad could have possibly ever told me. And it took me this long in my life and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with expressing my feelings. If I'm sad, I'm gonna tell you, what, I'm feeling kind of down today. I need a little space or I need a hug or something. And
When you
yeah, we need to
give somebody the opportunity to do just that, give you the space or give you the hug, because
Yeah.
it'll day to day, right?
Yeah.
If you say I'm fine, they could feel that you're not fine. That's the other thing we talk about often. Wait, what you say, Di?
I can see it.
Right? She always talks about how she can see things. She can see, like I can see that you're not okay.
Yeah,
Like,
but some people weaponize that. Some people take that and be like, "Oh, he's saying he's fine. He ain't fine. I'm about to push his buttons. I'm about to show him he's fine." All of a sudden, they want to control your emotions, right? But yeah, like you're right. If I can see it, you ain't fine. You ain't all right. But I'm glad to have the space for if and when times come that we need to express that and show that vulnerability. Yeah, it's needed.
because that's the space where somebody can help you. They can offer
Absolutely.
need. They cannot, when you say I'm fine, what you do is you close off the door to being able to offer you what you actually need in that moment. Normally,
Yeah.
when we're in the midst of trauma, a lot of us just need somebody to say it's gonna be okay.
You hear nothing
It's
else.
gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. It's okay. That's normally what we want. And I know there's been times where all I just need is just somebody to sit. I don't need you to do just be here for me in case I want to talk or all those things. But if we don't if we cover it up and say we're fine, we close them off.
Yeah.
And we close off the opportunity for somebody to give us what we need in that moment. So
sometimes you just
and
can't
I'm gonna yeah.
You just can't. It just, sometimes you just can't talk. Cause your emotions, everything is going on, just, it's going. Just can't say nothing, but it is a great feeling to have someone there.
Mhm.
You decide to open up to talk, but sometimes you just can't talk. You just, because it won't allow it to come out, because it's going too fast for you to even break it down to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I know that because I've been there.
Okay. And I had my son tell me, I'm not ready to talk.
Yeah, you just can't.
And that's
Yeah,
okay.
you just can't sometimes.
That's okay. Just not being ready to talk is absolutely acceptable. And so Harry, do you have any final thoughts or
Leave it
comments,
there,
sweetie?
don't push it.
Yeah, you know, it goes back to like OD Dub said, being in there, right? Being in the system, you know, and not being able to do nothing, right? But like he says, when hardships hit, they hit hard, especially when you're in there and there's nothing you can do, right? And then you got people around you, right? Yeah, they had a lot of groups there that you can turn to, you know, especially on your emotion regulations and you know your release valves and like you said, not holding it in and be able to talk to somebody because there's a lot of things when you're in there, there's nothing you can do. There's absolutely, and I mean, and for me, when you talked about loss of house, loss of property and stuff, and you know, when I was in there for, you know, 30 years, you know, in there, and then having to hear about my mom's house, when my mom passed, right, and then my father having dementia, and then he had a relationship, and he met another lady, and he had a couple of daughters, which I never met. I never met these half sisters of mine. Well, they sold my mother's house, right? And they sold everything. Well, I was in there and there's nothing I can do about it, right? Did it rip at my heart? Sure did. That was my mom's home. That's not their mother. That's my mom's. That was her house, right? And they sold everything, right? So there was nothing I could do about it. But the guys around me know that it was tearing at me, you know, and you know, eventually, like I said, I wasn't ready to talk, but when I was ready, the floodgates opened up, right? And that's what, like I said, that's when you have to let it out. And it started to come out. And you know what? I said, you know what? Okay, I just had to get to a better place, you know, in my heart and in my mind, and just keep going and let go.
You know, you bring up a point, Harry, that's really, really, I don't think people think of often. And we touched on it briefly the other day, how that when people go to even just to jail, county jail and stuff like that for a period of time, they lose so much. But people who start going to jail young tend to develop disassociation with things because they lose things on a regular basis. So when you go to jail, a lot of your stuff gets dispersed. What happens to it? Nobody know what happened to it. I was dating a guy and he had I guess at one point gone to jail and his mom went over there and they went and dismantled his apartment. But she told him that she didn't know where his jewelry was and had given it to her new husband. And by this time, he's been home for a while. We go to take family photos, and the stepfather is wearing his jewelry. And when I tell you, he was shaking mad, and all I could do was get him out of there, away from them, at that moment. But it's also part of why he had extremely terrible self-esteem because his mother would do strange things. You know what I mean? She wasn't very
But you just
good
lied
to
to
him.
him.
And she did. She lied to him that she didn't know where his jewelry was.
But you did.
And years later, her husband walked into family photos wearing his jewelry. So and then there are a lot of things that people may have wanted that they just took.
They
And
don't
think
care.
about the people that
Cares about nobody's
got
life.
life sentences. They'll never have nothing coming back because people think, well, they're never getting out, right? So they're never getting out. They don't need this. And like in the case of you with your half sisters, right? I mean, for them, what were they going to do with the house? Now, I would, and I'm so glad you mentioned about selling houses. I wanted anybody that, let me do this. I need y'all to feel me when I tell you this. Anybody that owns property in any of these burned out areas, do not sell your land.
Please, and thank
Do
you.
not sell
Leave it
your
there, please, and
land.
Thank you.
I don't care what they tell you. Do not sell or sign over
Nothing.
your land to
Please and thank
anybody.
you.
Remember, you had to be a landowner to have rights under the original Constitution. You had to be a landowner to have rights. We don't know where this country's going. You also had to be a white man, but that's beside the point. I think at this point, it's too many people that ain't white men that own land. So my thing, I think it may be the only thing to save us in a lot of instances. Do not sell land. That's what I want to say. For me, I thank all of you for coming on and giving us the opportunity to express how we might be feeling right now, and also talk about trauma, because
It's needed.
this is needed.
It's needed.
And at Freed to
There's a lot
Heal,
going on.
we all been dealing with trauma.
There's a lot going on.
We've been dealing with trauma. Just the fact that you have been incarcerated was traumatic. It was traumatic by itself, so we gotta be grateful, and hopefully there's something that we've said that would help somebody else when they look at this and look at their lives. And that's what we at Freed to Heal are about. We want to help people heal from the wounds, the trauma, and certainly this is a time where there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of trauma, and we're going to be looking at how we can help. But I want to be strategic. We can't, as my mother used to say, you don't have to be a ballerina dancing on every stage. At a certain point, you spread yourself too thin and you become ineffective. So I want to be very, strategic about what our nonprofit does. I got to talk to our board and see what we want to do to help in particular ways. But it's been a lot, and I'm just hoping that we can keep everyone in our prayers that has been affected by these fires, and hope that those of you that might listen to this, whether it's now or in the future, that there's something that we said that might have helped you. And you can check out Free to Heal on all social media sites, but go to our YouTube channel, check out some of the videos that we've put up over the past couple years, and hopefully they can help you as well. And we'll see you next week on another episode and another session of Free to Heal. Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night.